Welcome back on this glorious and amazing day, and thank you so much for joining, for listening, for liking the video, and for subscribing, and more importantly, for always remembering that you are way greater than you are. If your diamond is in the sunshine, it will shine. If your diamond is in the daylight, it will be noticed. If your diamond is in a dark room, it doesn't matter if no one notices, it's still the same worthy. If I put your diamond in manure and it stinks and no one could see it, it's still worth the same. For nothing can ever change your glorifying essence, which is beyond good. What's the second story? The second story is, I was taught, most probably you were taught, we were all taught, that things that happen to you, they're bad, they're good. Until I forget how many years ago, I picked up one of the greatest books in the world. It's called Awaken the Giant Within, from one of my great teacher, Tony Robbins. And one of the things he teaches there, that things happen to you, and your joy or your sadness, your calmness or your frustration will not be from what happened to you, but rather from the way you interpret that event. I read it again, and I'm stuck. This guy is the biggest life coach in the world. This guy coaches 12 to 15,000 people in stadiums. And he's saying something that's seemingly pathetic and stupid. Wait, so if someone comes and slaps me in the face, how could you interpret that as positive? And I was blessed again not to reject it, and obviously not to respect it. We were always told, and till today you hear mommies and daddies and teachers telling people, you made me upset. Made you upset. People control you. It's all about interpretation. And in short, if you want to do more research, it's called NLP. That stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It's all about how your brain interprets stuff. So things happen to you, and it's about how you interpret. So for example, when I came here back to the Catskill Mountains, and one of my PEX pipes were broken and I couldn't open the water in my lovely house for the next 5 months, if you believe it or not, I actually got excited because I knew NLP. Well, why would you get excited if you have a busted pipe? Well, I won't say it here because then you're not going to listen to my series, because I could go on and on and on with a million stories. Maybe another time I'll share the story. But I'm telling you a reality that just happened last Tuesday, that I became happy when something didn't work out because I knew how to interpret it. But when I read this book, because it was against, not about like sports, that 70% are in sports. If I walk in the streets and I ask anyone 10 stories, I will say, of course, that's going to make you upset. Based on Tony Robbins, how he teaches NLP, they're all wrong. So how can I listen to Tony Robbins? I don't care if he's God. I don't care if he's the biggest life coach. But again, I use the rule for critical thinking. Only because you don't have to accept it, that doesn't mean you have to reject it. And I kept on studying it. And I put his ideas into practice. I kept on challenging myself. And I kept on reading more about it. And I kept on listening to different teachers about NLP. And as it is in the last 10 years of my life, I realized you could have 97% of people that are emotionally unhealthy. You could have 100% of people doing the wrong thing. You could have so many people doing nonsense. You could have politicians that are destroying their own country. It doesn't mean it's right. Of course, it's hard to me to accept it when I'm brought up with this idea, if everyone does it, it's okay. If everyone says that's the way it is, it is. Many times you even have professionals that are making huge mistakes, and many professionals, that doesn't mean it's it. So when I read about NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, when I read this whole thing from Tony Robbins, that you have events that happen to you, and then you have how you interpret. And most of us connect interpretation to the event. We don't even realize it happens by default. Unless you start practicing awareness and you know what was the event, and then you choose how to interpret. Besides, you live a freaking awesome life. I won't begin to tell you. But here, the same thing, I would say, I can't remember if it was to the date, but it took me 3 years to accept it. And that's because I listened to the idea of there's no need to accept it, no need to reject it, just sit with it. Now, after this long introduction, I feel very comfortable giving this idea, because then you know you don't have to stop the YouTube or stop the Instagram or stop the LinkedIn video or stop the any type of video you're watching, whichever one it's going to be posted on, and say, that's it, this guy is not talking nonsense. Because if you listened up to here, you know you do not have to accept it. But at the same time, no need to reject it. And I can't wait for next week, where we go straight into the meat, as they say. But till then, always remember, your diamond will always be a diamond, regardless where it is.